You still sell that?
Ultimate bone broth.
Today's episode is dedicated to the loving memory of our good friend Brody Stevens. Brody's no longer with us. If he was, he would enjoy this episode. When we were on tour in Texas with the Social Justice Warrior Show, myself, Jim Florentine, Chad Zumock, and Brody would be listening to two things or watching two things on his computer. One of them was our guest on InfoWars, and the other one was hardcore pornography. Both of those, he just loved to go deep on. This episode is dedicated to Mr. Brody Stevens. If he was still with us, he'd be here today. We miss you, Brody, and we hope you enjoy it. So enjoy the show, everybody.
I'm sad to hear that.
Global controls will have to be imposed, and a world governing body will be created to enforce them.
Welcome to Tinfoil Hat. We go deep, homeboy. Aaron, open your mind. Drink from the fountain of knowledge. There's lizard people everywhere. That's some interdimensional shit. Wake up, Aaron.
This is only the beginning.
Dude, you just blew my mind.
Yeah, welcome to Tinfoil Hat. Thank you guys for tuning in. We got an exciting show, so let's get through the business. Want to thank everybody who came to Rooster Teeth Feathers. The Tinfoil Hat people came out in fucking flocks, and I appreciate you so much. Tonight, or tomorrow night, is Comedy Chaos, which is brought to you by our good friends at Absolute Extract. Go to absoluteextract.org, abx.org, and check out what they got. They are the Reebok, the Nike of weed. They got everything. They have vape pens. They have stuff for your vagina. They have fucking edibles. You name it. This is the next level of weed. Go check them out. They support live comedy. They're part of the show at the Comedy Store, in which one of our guests is going to be on, Eddie Bravo. So go check them out. They're one of our favorite people. That's absoluteextract.org. Now, we're also in the time when we're doing a lot of betting, everybody. So go to BetDSI. BetDSI for all your betting needs. Go to BetDSI, use the promo code HAT100, and you can make bets. We got the Masters coming up. We got the finals tonight. We have NBA playoffs, UFC, all of it. Anything you deposit up to $500, our good friends at BetDSI are going to match. So go to BetDSI.com and use the promo code HAT100, okay? New T-shirts are up. New dates are coming. Myself and Eddie Bravo, we're going to be in Nashville this Friday. That is April the 13th. We are doing the Nashville Comedy Festival. And then the following night, we are in Alabama, and we are doing Huntsville Stand Up Live, and that's a nice early show, too. I don't know how they fucked up by giving us an early show, but we got it. Come and hang out. So I'm very excited to have Eddie Bravo back on the show. You're a fucking G. And joining us in studio, it's a real honor to have him on. He didn't have to do this, and he's kind enough to do it. So you guys have been wanting him, and I'm very, I'm just blown away you to come do our little show. Please welcome Mr. Alex Jones, everybody.
Well, I'm blown away you guys have had me on. Eddie's awesome. You're awesome. I love you guys. Watch the show.
I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you, dude.
Eddie choked me out.
Yeah.
Before we came in here, I'm joking.
So we'll get into what you were just doing, but real quick, I wanted to give Eddie a little gift. My good friend Avi runs a company called, where are we here? There we go. It's called Natural Cannabis Company, and he wanted us to give. And Alex, if you want to take a couple of these, you can.
Oh, I better not.
Okay.
I'll turn into one of those aliens.
This is basically, these are all the different kind of weeds from all the different kinds of people who contribute to Avi's company. That's
I
natural.
can smell it. Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah. Look at that, dude.
This is George Soros weaponized marijuana, right? I've never seen weed so coolly packaged.
Yeah, dude. What is it in Texas now? Is it legal?
No. It's life in prison still.
Really?
Hang out by your toes.
That's
Let the
fucking
Taliban
nuts.
chop your head off. No, I'm being
That's
sarcastic.
nuts. That's
no,
nuts.
I mean, they've decriminalized it some, but it's still not as legal as it should be.
Thank you, Natural Cannabis. Holy
this
shit.
is yours.
Thank you.
Bro, my good friend Eddie Bravo, I love you with
Thank
all my
you.
heart. And
Shit,
you're
this is awesome.
such a good friend of mine.
Thank
and, you've changed my life, and I love you very much.
Thank you. I
dude.
love you.
Is that
so
the
much.
weed goddess on there?
Yeah, that's the weed goddess. What's up with that? What's up with the weed goddess, Alex? There's some shit going down with that, my
I
friend?
think so, yeah.
So where were you get? You came in, you were doing some shit down downtown? What were you doing?
Well, I've got my wife's visiting her mom, so my mother-in-law, and they're a little bit south to here. And so I was talking to Eddie about it, and I was trying to get him to come to Austin. He said, "Why don't you just come here?" I said, "Well, I'm actually going to be there in a few weeks, so here we are." And I'm doing a few other shows. I'm doing Coast to Coast AM tonight. George Norrie has a big syndicated show on about 600 stations. And then I'm going to do some other big unannounced shows tomorrow. And it's a very exciting.
Coco Diaz, dog, right? You going
That's
deep?
right.
Are you eating stars, dude? Are you going to eat stars?
Well, I know that I always love Joey Diaz. So anytime I can hang around
Imagine
him.
Alex Jones on the Church of What's Happening
Do
Now.
it. It's going to be the biggest show ever, dude.
I can tell you a Joey Diaz story. This was probably like more than 10 years ago. And Joe Rogan was having a UFC event in Houston. And I happened to already be down there for this Federal Reserve protest. And they're like, "Well, hey, come on over. We're there in a few days." And so I walk in, and Joey goes, "Oh, here's a little cookie. I know you don't smoke a lot of weed, but this is light. Go ahead and eat the whole thing." And so I got there early, and they had like 4 hours of pre-fights, for the lower level people. And all of a sudden, about an hour or two in, I couldn't get out of my chair. And Joey's right in the row ahead of me going, yeah, you ate the whole thing. And it took me about 3 hours to even get out of the chair.
Yeah.
And I was stoned about 2 days later.
That's the whole thing. You eat something, you don't know what it is, dude.
Yeah.
They're giving you
He
numbers.
told me some huge number. He goes, "Oh, that thing was like 10 grams. I don't know how strong it really was, but."
Yeah, I don't fuck with edibles.
Yeah, dude, it's too much, man. It's too fucking much. So you were downtown. You were doing something with our homeless situation in California.
Yes, I just was down at Skid Row
Yeah.
for a couple hours, and it was truly nightmarish because nothing against transgenders or anything. It's just that men sweating in the heat on female hormones or women, I guess. they're now.
You think they're all trans down there? I think they're just junkies.
There's all sorts of craziness.
Yeah.
But I ran into a few folks like that. I ran into people with their pit bulls. I saw drug dealers lined up, openly handing out brown paper bags to be handed off right in front of the police station. We've got all this footage. We're going to put out as a mini documentary in the next month or so. But I've never seen anything like it. I thought, I can handle a big homeless area. I've seen those. This was pretty damn scary.
Why do you think
And it goes on
California
from
has
block
it
after
that
block?
bad? Why is it so bad in California? I think people are shipping their homeless people.
They
over
are.
here.
They're shipping their homeless people here, and the city pays for it and allows it and doesn't break it up. And so it's going to get worse and worse, and now it's spreading. And the city can always get more money and make rich people feel like they're bad for the city government because the problem is growing, but they never really fix it.
What's the solution? How do we stop this?
I know this. If there's some people that are mentally ill that need to be institutionalized and taken care of,
Yes.
and the cost will be much less. But a lot of people are just taking advantage of the free ride. They cash their welfare check. They buy a bunch of drugs, heroin, cocaine, you name it, and then they just basically go eat at the homeless shelter and live that way.
I think there are people. I also think that the opiate epidemic we have, which is get these guys on these pharmaceutical drugs.
Oh, I agree.
Then they can't afford it anymore.
They
so now
finally
they're on
fi-
here.
they
And we
finally-
have the CIA shipping in all these fucking drugs into. I mean, we're protecting poppy fields.
Well, actually, that's
right?
true. That's true.
Right?
And of course, you've got that big company that put out OxyContin. That family made tens of billions. It turns out they said, this is super addictive. We'll get everybody on it. And then we'll have a huge expensive treatment plan to get them off of it.
Yeah.
But there'll be zombies after, and they haven't gotten in trouble, and they should.
Yeah, I mean, that's where we're at. I mean, the country.
Sure, I'm
the
not
world.
villainizing the poor homeless people down there, or even the
Most of them are born with 2 strikes against them, born into a world of shit. I mean, we all have family.
No, that's
that,
it, and you're right. The pharmaceutical drugs
No?
are what's really getting people addicted, and the street drugs aren't even 1/10 as strong as what they finally end up, homeless getting.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they finally figured out that using tents on the streets and sidewalks,
I think
that's
the
the best
tent
way to go.
people came up
remember,
with that.
Remember everyone used to use boxes and live in
Yeah.
boxes?
Yeah.
Now they got tents.
Dude, these
It's not so
motherfuckers
bad.
have
It's not
like
so bad.
Wi-Fi.
I think it's almost being encouraged to stay out there. Exactly.
Yeah.
Here's tents. Here's all this. Yeah. If you type in, I forget the name of the family. Family pharmaceutical company plotted to make their opiate #1 or something like
Well,
that.
I mean, if you take a look at basically, from the British India Company, I mean, like there
Oxycontin.
was just like a flood of opiates into China. That's how they built basically the power structure in
There you go.
America was built by fucking drugs.
Well, you're right. Skull and Bones in New Haven, Connecticut was set up by a opium trust out of Germany and out of England. And it's a fact that China for over 100 years was dominated by 11 different European countries. The U.S. also had the U.S. zone. And the way they did it was China had drugs illegal. So first the British took them over 100 years to take over. They started paying everybody, the police locally, to let them deal drugs and get Chinese addicted to opium. And then they started sector by sector taking it over. And by keeping it illegal, they learned that kept the price up and allowed them to basically create a shadow government. So you're absolutely right. The whole shadow government in this country was based off the whole opium trade. And that's why they then made cocaine illegal and everything else that had been in soft drinks before, to then be able to jack up the price, make it underground so they could control it.
Yeah, 100%.
There it is, the Sackler family's connection. Normally I can have a good memory, but man, I was like car sick for 45 minutes driving through the smog here. I mean, LA's great, but it's like hell. The Sackler family's connection. There's 13 billion. I said 10 billion, and it's well known for their philanthropy around the world.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, we have the
It's
Russell
weird
family.
Isn't it kind of weird that CNN's busting them out? Are they busting them out here?
Well, they got it. They have to do stories like this so they have credibility. But the truth of the matter is that every commercial on CNN is a pharmaceutical commercial. And have you ever been to the doctor and been like, "Hey, can you give me that Robo Bubba Dobbin?" You never do. It's just all
They
buying
push
the
it.
message.
By the way, when I was on Piers Morgan in 2013,
fuck that guy.
I was supposed to be on the entire show. But as soon as I, for the second segment, said, listen, don't blame guns. The insert of Prozac and other drugs like this say it can cause mass murder, suicide. Your main sponsor is suicide mass murder pills. Suicide mass murder pills! And they go, that's it, you're off. And they had security threatening to kick my ass and say, get the F out of this building. Can I cuss on here?
Dude, you
get
say
the
anything you
fuck
want.
out of here! Get the fuck out of here! Fucko! You don't talk about our sponsors. My producer
said
Rob
that,
Deuce
really?
talk- Oh yeah,
They called you a fucko?
yeah.
I fucking would fight right there. That's some bullshit. So hold on.
So type in Sackler family Oxycontin. It'll probably won't give you the CNN whitewash. Yeah, they've been accused of some bad things, but they're philanthropists. Let me tell you how this works. Bill and Melinda Gates have put over $80 billion in their own foundation. Warren Buffett's put over $50 billion. It's tax exempt. It makes their companies and their holdings tax exempt, and they get more and more profitable. And then the family foundation owns castles, palaces, other corporations, and other corporations can't compete because they're paying taxes, and they frickin' take over.
Yep. It's 100% true, dude.
There you go. Yeah, that was it. So lawsuits lay bare Sackler family's role, and in it, they're talking. They go, we're going to roll out the most powerful opiate ever seen, OxyContin. This will dominate. And guess how we got heroin? After the Civil War, people are addicted to opium from the hundreds of thousands of sawed-off arms and legs. It was over 1 million. And so a chemist made something even stronger. You don't want opium anymore. You got heroin that's 10 times stronger.
Yeah.
Well, they just made something even stronger. Now the Chinese have come out
Yeah.
with several different opiates that are 20 times stronger than it.
Yeah.
That literally, just taking it for 6 months, you're a brain-dead zombie. They execute you in China if you have any of these opiates.
Yeah, because
But here, they dump it on our market.
Yeah, well, I mean, they do that because they fucking crippled the Chinese market. The British Indian company went in and got everybody in China fucking addicted, and that's how they made the fucking money.
And now they're going, you know what? You did it to us, we're doing it to you. Well, guess what? My family wasn't involved doing that to the Chinese, so frickin' stop it. You
Yeah,
commies.
fentanyl's
By the
a
way,
big part.
This guy just flew back from Japan. How was Japan?
Japan was awesome.
It's futuristic, dude. You can get women.
He's so relaxed.
You know what? I'm not a big fan of traveling. Really, I love. The reason I travel for. I love teaching seminars. I love jujitsu events. But getting on a plane for 9 hours, that part sucks.
So Japan's only 9 hours from here.
Mm-hmm.
Ding, 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 ding.
That's China.
I know.
Yeah, different nations.
What is Japan? That's
That's it. That's it.
Seppuku, bro. Seppuku.
Seppuku.
Alex, how long you been doing this? Since you were young, right? In the 20s, like you were.
Since I was not as handsome as I am now.
You are very fuckable. How long you been doing this? Early 20s? Like how long have you
I've
been
been on
in
the air
this
since
game?
I was 21.
You were doing this since you were 21.
That's right.
And what made you get into this? What made you just start chasing this truth?
Well, you guys know history. I mean, here's the thing: we can speculate about things that we don't know and argue about it all day, but we know Western governments ship drugs into China to politically take it over. That's the
Right.
Boxer rebellions,
Right.
the Opium Wars. It's not debated. We know there's animal-human hybrids. That's been admitted for 20 years. You say it, you're a kook. We know that the CIA got caught shipping in massive opium during the Vietnam War and after that. We know all these thousands of things.
Iran-Contra.
Iran-Contra.
Obama Contra. When he
all of
funded
it.
Hezbollah.
And exactly, it funded Hezbollah. And then we talk about it, and they go, oh, you're an idiot, you're a liar. Or they take out of context something we've ever said or done, and they say, oh, apologize, that wasn't perfectly right. And as soon as you go, oh, you want me to apologize? Sure. Oh, he admits he's a liar, he's a fraud, keep apologizing.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, they all lie on purpose, launch all these wars. They never freaking apologize.
Yeah, I
the difference
agree.
is we're trying to tell the truth.
Right.
They're lying on purpose. But I just got into it because they were trying to pass laws to basically take guns in Texas. I knew that they were doing things like farmers and ranchers were having their taxes raised outside Austin, but then the rich developers basically had zero taxes. So I learned about how the scams were working. And so I would try to call into talk radio when I was like a senior in high school, and they'd make fun of me and stuff. So I thought, well, I need to get on air to battle out these topics. And so that's how I basically got on air, was I wanted to get on air.
Right, and then now you've gone down this whole road, and you're so controversial. What makes you different than everybody else? Because it seems like you are more of a lightning rod than all the other people who are in your genre.
Well, I'll tell you what happened. Like Joe Rogan right now undoubtedly has the biggest podcast that isn't, something like PewDiePie, doing silly stuff. And I'm not bashing PewDiePie, but PewDiePie's the biggest thing ever.
Ever.
Okay, ever. Now, young kids are watching this. The average adult's like, what's that? Well, that's the 10th planet coming in. But Joe takes somebody like Joe Rogan. Right now he's undoubtedly, as they say,
king.
the new or Johnny Carson. So that's what happened with me, is they always ignored me. And up until about 2016, conservatively, we probably had about 30 million views a week conservatively on different platforms. Then we had
Humble brag.
No. It's still 5 million people a day tuning in terrestrial radio.
Yeah.
Over 200 stations. We started getting a lot of TV stations. And I had 87 million IP addresses hit just my website, Infowars.com, the week of the election. And it kept on after that. So I had Super Bowl audiences, and I was the biggest thing out there, but they ignored me.
Right.
But as soon as they figured out that basically my audience took Trump over the top, and that Trump was listening with some of his staff, like Miller and others, to basically get their talking points of how do we relaunch America. Once the Democrats went, this guy got Trump elected, they went into thermonuclear attack mode. I've never been sued. Democrats funded 20 lawsuits against me. They deplatformed me off hundreds of things, you name it. And that's how they do it. Is the last thing I was on a while back was like Roku. And we had a new app on that some fan built. And so our app went to #1 on Roku in one day. It was a big national deal. And they had lawyers for the Sandy Hook families, not the Sandy Hook families. That was all a small part of whatever I ever covered that they distorted. They had lawyers for the Sandy Hook families go in major papers. Listen, you got to take him down. He's sending people to harass us right now. Help, help. So it's not a free speech thing. It's more of a wolf at the door. And so they then got me even taken off Roku. First, Roku goes, well, it's free speech, and he's very popular, and he's #1 on here, so we're not going to take him down. But once they made it, oh, no, he's sending people to get us, which wasn't true. In fact, I have a lawsuit over it. I haven't filed yet. Then, I'm not going to get into that yet. The point is that it was all a plan just to demonize who they saw as the #1 populist, who was backing not even just Trump, but a nationalist populist awakening worldwide. And they said, we'll take a symbol of victory. And the fact that this guy got the organized grassroots to take action and overpower us, we'll take his identity, say he's somebody else, create a new symbol of badness, a new supervillain, and then use that supervillain as an excuse to censor the entire internet and everything else, which they're now doing. And that's why there's over 500 articles a day in the New York Times, Washington Post, BuzzFeed, Vanity Fair. I mean, every day there's articles in almost every one of the publications spewing lies, spewing attacks, because they're, again, trying to create that monster so they can then use that monster against you.
Yeah. Okay, I agree with that. So we're about 2.5 years into Trump right now. You had a big part of growing that. What is your assessment of where Trump is right now? Are we, because about 2 years into Obama, I was like, fuck, man, we got fucking hoodwinked. And this isn't, where there's supposed to be big change. No change came. Same fucking patterns as fucking George Bush. Same fucking policies. Continuation, 2 fucking wars to 5 wars. What do you think about Trump right now? We're about 2.5, 3 years into what he's doing.
That's a good question. Well, let me answer that question first. You guys jump in any time with getting into Obama. If people go back 10.5 years ago, I was neutral on Obama because I knew John McCain was so bad.
Yeah.
And I was kind of buying into the left really wanted racial harmony and bring everybody together. And then he got in, and I made the Obama deception in like a month because he immediately went back on everything he was saying. It was the opposite of his rhetoric. He'd say one thing to another. With Trump, it's more of a mixed bag of He's actually delivered on more than any president in my lifetime,
Such as?
such as taking us out of the Trans-Pacific Partnership that transferred all our power to this world government, trying to build a border wall, cutting taxes on poor people. I mean, just so many things he's done, lobbying companies to bring back thousands of different factories to the United States. I can go on for hours. He said he would take the corporate income tax from 40% to 20 because China was at 15 so that people would move back here. People are like, oh, why? Let those corporations off. They just move. He did that. I mean, he's just done hundreds and hundreds of things. He's trying to make NATO and all these other groups pay more of their money in. He's trying to lower that area of the budget, though he's not been successful.
He had me at CNN as fake news. That's all I needed to say to me.
For
Well,
Trump?
exactly.
I
Saying
know
they're
that you're
enemies,
Trump.
saying they're enemies of the American people, discrediting. I mean, take Louis Farrakhan. I don't agree with a lot of what he has to say, but he is a revolutionary. And he said, "Listen, why are you bashing Trump?" He said he's attacking all of the enemies that we have that are in the establishment. He's discrediting the system, and the whole system's against him. So I like Trump just as that disruptor. Now,
Okay.
what has he not done? His son got brain damaged. He's better now. But Barron was 18 months old, and they took the shots. He had the convulsions. It's an IQ reducer. It's what they do. Trump did a bunch of tweets. It's bad. You shouldn't give him too many.
The vaccines.
And now he's backed off that. And he also said he'd pull out of Afghanistan. Basically, the military blocked him. He's backed off on that. So here's the deal. I'm not Trump. Trump's not me.
Right.
He's not my identity.
Right.
I saw the whole media against him, and he was saying a lot of things I thought were good. And then I saw him say, Mexicans are great people. They're wonderful, hardworking. We need them here. We're going to build a bunch of factories. We're going to open it up for the visas if you're not a criminal. But there's also a lot of criminals and a lot of bad people coming in, kidnappers, rapists. They say, Trump says all Mexicans are animals and criminals, and they never show the clip. Because he didn't say that. He said they're great. And now the right wing believed that. The media's version, he said all Mexicans are animals, so they're all pissed that he's opening up the visas for people that aren't criminals. All he's doing is doing what he said he'd do. So I'm not here to.
No, I get that. I get that. My whole thing is like I think Mexicans are coming here because we've allowed our drug war to just disseminate Mexico. That it's just so
Decimated, you're right.
Yeah, and they're just flooding here because there's no jobs thanks to fucking free trade, and everybody's getting killed there because of guns. So I don't think they're coming here for our job.
That we took over there.
There you go.
Gun
Boom.
and Furious. Gun and Furious. Fast and Furious. My bad. It's Fast and
no, you're
Furious.
right, Fast and
That was
Furious.
Obama's. That was Obama's shit. They were gonna give the cartels these guns to track them down. They didn't track no one down.
That was the claim.
Those guns killed Border Patrol agents and shit like that.
Yeah.
That's right. Boom.
What's the
That's a false flag right there.
Yeah.
Let's think about the false flags.
Yes, let's do it.
We should go over it later, but let's just preview. Just lately.
World War II.
Jussie Smollett, totally staged, trying to cause a race war. Had higher-ups above him. That's why they've killed the investigation.
Michelle Obama got him out. I mean, that was a straight. Nobody knows Michelle Obama, Barack Obama. These are facts. Got disbarred in Illinois.
So let's do this. Let's list all of them here, just the latest ones, then we'll go over them, however you want to go over them. So Smollett, that's a false flag confirmed. The Covington kids didn't go confront the Native American, all those groups. That was totally
But
staged.
that whole school is funded by PG&E. They found that fucking and that PG&E shit that had to do with the forest fucking fires here. That fucking metal.
What are you saying now?
But what I'm trying to say is
Those
that
are weird forest fires.
well, dude, I mean, metal burns at 2,500 degrees. Forest fires get up to 1,500
Okay, hold
degrees.
on.
What I'm saying
you just
is
said that was a false flag. The kids with the
But
Indian.
the kids weren't. I'm saying the kids weren't even innocent in that whole thing. There's a reason that they were there. That school is funded by PG&E. Man, that's a.
Oh, you think they didn't know, but they got sent there?
Yeah, dude. Who even knows if they know? I mean, what we're seeing right now is that now they're doing.
Well, let me
these
tell you, because I have a
GoFundMe
first-hand deal.
Okay.
I was at the Twitter and Google hearings 2 different times. I was at the Twitter hearings, and they had some other people there, but this was like 6 months ago. I walk out on the street, and these women walk over. They go, "We're Native American," and I have the full video. It's on Infowars.com. They say, "Your mother's married to her brother. You're a subhuman," all these horrible racist things. And I go, "You're really a racist. You're like the brown KKK. And then she says, "I'm a veteran. Why are you saying mean things?" I went, "Whoa, where's the camera?" And I looked, and they had Now This that works for Facebook shooting it. So that same Now This was with the so-called Native American elder, who's admittedly an actor. He's admittedly goes around and stirs up trouble. And they were there editing a 5-minute confrontation, and it was headlined, "Jones randomly walks up to Native Americans and gets in their face." And it wasn't true. They came up to me. They tried to piss me off. and then they made it look like I was being a dick to these women.
So
listen, you're right. I don't know what's going on, but shit's staged.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's meant to be chaos,
Anyways,
chaos.
Back to Smollett. I interrupted.
Sorry. Go on.
No. I mean, how many though? How many things like the Russiagate thing? Totally fake. That's now come out. I mean, boom, boom, boom. But we're not supposed to question all this as it comes out. The WMDs in Iraq, Operation Northwoods, the Gulf of Tonkin. I mean, it goes on over and over again.
Yeah, so with the Operation Northwoods false flag, that's one that even the anti-conspiracy theorists, they don't deny it. Even Joe Rogan, he knows Operation Northwoods was real. That was the government's plan to blow up an commercial airliner and blame it on the Cubans. So just with that alone, any event, any major tragic event that happens, you gotta look into it like a detective.
Right.
I mean, just based on Operation Northwood, you can't say it's a crazy conspiracy theory because the government was planning. The CIA
Look,
was
ABC
planning.
News. Click on that one.
Yeah. U.S. military wanted to, yeah, for sure. And if you look at how basically Operation Northwood went, it's almost the exact same game plan as 9/11.
Yeah.
It's the exact
And then when
same
you have-
game
then
plan.
you
They
have
even think
guys-
about staging mass shootings.
Yeah.
And
But think about this. You know who John Stockwell is?
Yes.
John Stockwell is a CIA whistleblower. He was involved in the Angola War. He came out and wrote books about just busting out the CIA, basically saying him and other CIA whistleblowers, they all say the same thing. Anytime we need to...
John Stockwell,
anytime,
CIA.
yeah. Anytime we need to push an agenda for whatever reason, like to take out a president of some South American country or some African country, what they do is they attack schools, they attack children, they blow up buses on bridges. That's what John Stockwell's saying. They attack
That's
schools
Operation Gladio.
because it pushes their agenda faster than anything else when you start attacking kids. So when you know that and when you hear that coming from the CIA, and then you have like all these school shootings going on, you have to look at it like a detective. You can't just believe
exactly.
what you see on CNN.
How did we start the 1990 Gulf War that killed millions of Iraqis later? And we had the later Secretary of State, Madeleine Albright, go on TV on 60 Minutes and say 500,000 Iraqi kids that died because of our war is a good price to pay. You can pull that up. So that's how that war that killed millions started. But type in Operation Himmler. That was declassified. I was reading this in World War II books.
Operation Himmler?
Operation
Never
Himmler.
heard of that.
Hitler didn't just attack Czechoslovakia and Poland. He staged attacks on German military bases on the border, blew up their own bases, and then blamed it on the Poles to launch World War II.
Sounds like Pearl Harbor.
And that exactly, and that's not even, and of course, in the case of Pearl Harbor, it's not a pure false flag. They'd broken the purple and blue code, as you know, so they knew the date and time of the attack. Ordered the carriers out to sea, the old obsolete battleships. They let get sunk, but they don't warn the people, so it's true. So
Yeah.
it's real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when the crazy thing, this is the craziest thing about false flags and the suspicion of false flags is when if you have a guy that's lying about, a guy who's lying about everything. He lies about all the girls he bangs. He lies about everything. Anytime at a certain point, after like 5 or 6 or 7, for everybody it's different, after a certain amount of lies, you can never trust him. You never say, well, I know he lied about those 7 instances, but he can't lie about everything. He can't be lying about everything. So let's start believing him. Right? It never works that way. That's not common sense. That's not logic.
You'd have to be
Only an
crazy.
idiot. So the more false flags we list that are perpetrated by our own government, the more you don't believe them. Not like, you know what? The conspiracy theorists are going to say this is a false flag. Oh, watch them. They're going to say this one's a false flag. They keep saying that. Like, of course.
Listen,
we keep
dude.
piling them up.
They're called goldfish, dude. That's what we call them. They don't remember anything that happens. They only remember what's in front of them.
Yeah.
And as the same game plan happens,
Oh,
they don't remember
yeah.
it.
Oh,
We just keep score. We're just historians. These
Yeah.
goldfish only see this, and they just run. Like people right now with Venezuela, and how we're like, oh, we gotta go into Venezuela. He's a dictator. How's that anything different than what we just heard about fucking Iraq and Saddam, man? It's the exact same fucking thing. He wanted to get off the U.S. fucking dollar. The fucking IMF and the fucking World Banking Organization, if you don't play ball, they fucking pull trade and they collapse your economy. It's the same fucking, they just happen to have more oil now than everybody else, right? I mean, how's it different?
No, you're totally right. And look, and I'll get into Venezuela, it's a little different, but the concept that you and Eddie just said is true. And so they take everything I say out of context. So here's an example. I've never apologized for questioning Sandy Hook because there were anomalies that people like questions. I said when the families said, hey, you're hurting us and people are coming and harassing us, well, I wasn't going to take on that identity because I'd never done that. I said, well, I'm sorry if people having to ask questions has hurt your feelings. Here's an example. They deposed me in what they admit.
That video's out. What's your thing?
Well, they also spun it and said, Jones admits he's crazy. No, I said the same thing on Joe Rogan's podcast. I said there's a paradigm. There's a paradox. You're over here like a goldfish or like Dory from Finding Nemo.
Yeah.
You have no memory, a 7-second memory. You believe the moon's made of cheese if they tell you. You believe that Marilyn Monroe's still alive and Elvis is still alive. Whatever you're told over here. Whatever the corporate media tells you. Then you've got on the other end where you don't know it's real because you've been lied to so much. It's completely normal for people that have memories if the authority figure keeps getting caught lying over and over and over and over and over again and doing bad things. Authoritarianism creates a mass psychosis where then it breaks down society, where you're not mentally ill yourself. There's no judging what's real in a wider system because you've been lied to, and that creates breakdown of society. So I said, I have had points in my life where I believe nothing they say, and I think any type of psychosis, not even using the term broadly or like a psychologist would, just saying for times you get where you don't believe anything they say, you could call that a psychosis, but it's a bigger psychosis to believe everything they say unquestioningly when they're known liars.
Yeah, psychosis is not a good word though, Alex. That's because that's really
that's associated with drug addiction.
I know where you're going with it, and I know you got lawsuits you got to deal with, and I know you got to put things in a certain context, but it's not psychosis. It's not.
No, I agree.
It's a lack of trust of the government, which are fucking criminals. So
I agree, but I didn't do
psychosis.
that. I didn't do that as some legal strategy. I'm saying it's out of context. Here's an example.
But
2 years ago,
using the word psychosis pisses off a lot of truthers, though, because
I understand. You're right.
You're saying that
Well,
we're
that's why I'm addressing
psychotic.
it. That's why I brought it up.
We're not psychotic.
No.
We're
I'm
we're
not.
logical.
I just said you were right.
Okay.
They spun. I said the same thing on Joe Rogan's show.
No, you did. You know what you did? You said you had a moment of psychosis, or some guy or conspiracy theorists that believe everything's a conspiracy theorist. Some of them are like psychotic or something like that.
What I said is it's almost a form. It's almost a form of a type of where the system's so crazy and part of the public's so crazy they'll believe 2 + 2 = 10. They'll believe that there's not only 2 genders. They'll believe whatever crazy-ass thing they're told. If the system is crazy, then that makes me pretty damn crazy, where I get to where I don't believe a damn thing they say, and then I start thinking everything is staged.
Yeah, well,
here's an example.
Most everything.
If I do a
is
podcast
staged.
and it ends on 33 minutes, accidentally, everybody says, look, he ended it in 33 minutes.
I get it.
That's people that I wouldn't even say they actually have a true psychosis. I'm saying they've gotten where they're looking for hidden things everywhere.
You find what you're looking for. You find what you're looking. If they were looking for, call you a shill, they're gonna find a reason to. I get called a gay Jew shill on this show fucking constantly, dude. And no matter what I do, no matter what guests I have on, somebody's looking for a reason.
Some dude made a video calling me a shill. It was on your show where he would freeze frame me doing like signs. Go, look, he's Illuminati. I'd be like freeze framed, like, look, he's doing it right in your face.
See, I'm saying that guy's got that's the far end, and I'm saying talking about that in generality. But those crazy people are less crazy than the establishment that wants us to believe all their garbage. Like, let's talk about the establishment themselves.
You know what? You're right. You know what, Alex? Let me take that back a little, because there are some conspiracy theorists that take it way too fucking far. Because I know I'm not a fucking shill. No one's approached me. I don't know about anybody else, but I know that. So when
I'm too broke to be a shill.
When people start accusing me of being a government agent, that's when I go, oh shit, I get it now. There are truly psychotic people out there that are just. Right?
You've seen the movie. You've seen the movie, The Number 23.
No, I haven't.
It's Jim Carrey finds the number 23 and everything. He multiplies it, divides it, just finds it. And when you're looking for it, you'll find it.
Probably fucked his skull, because he's totally into fucking a lot of crazy shit. But I want to get into some of the stuff that There's some people who get upset with you. Some you say I've heard you a lot talk about Islamic jihadists and the threat they are. But I mean, you and I both know they're on the payroll, right? They're all getting paid for. I mean, the Islamic jihad. We go in there, assassinate all these guys.
That's the thing about Trump. Under the last 50 years, the West has been funding radical jihadists on record with the State Department. Trump is killing that operation. He says we're not going to do that, and he has been trying to stop the funding of the radical Islamists and actually just got rid of ISIS to a great extent. But you're absolutely right. Obama gave them U.S. military bases in eastern Iraq, in western Iraq, to invade Syria 6-7 years ago. The whole Arab Spring was staged. Google, Facebook all helped. They had Piers Morgan on TV going,
he's a piece of shit.
Oh, there's a liberation of Egypt, a liberation of Syria by actual Al-Qaeda / ISIS, same group, murdering and killing people in mass. And it's true. Under one government in Israel, and I'm not anti-Israel, but I'm anti-Israel doing that, they created Hamas. And then Obama's been caught funding those groups. So what happens is Israel wanted to counter Hezbollah, that's real and funded by Iran. So they created Hamas, who became a real terror group, but funded and protected by Israel for the first 20 years, got funded in the 70s to be a counterbalance so that they could break up the power of Hamas in the so-called occupied territories.
So, but when we talk about this threat of Islamic jihadists, it's like if we want to stop it, we should just cut off the fucking paychecks, right? I mean, I get really worried when we demonize an entire group of people.
Okay, well, let me get this.
Okay, go for it.
Here's the deal. I agree. Global criminals inside our governments, not the whole governments, but criminal groups, are funding radical Islam. There's 1.8 billion Muslims. That's 1,800,000,000. There's more Muslims than Chinese and Africans combined, okay? Okay, and they're taught everything in Islam is the house of Islam.
Okay.
This is the Quran. Everything outside the house of Islam is the house of war. And Muhammad was a warlord.
Okay.
Okay, and so you can have moderate Muslims. They're called heretics.
Yeah, I know that.
But the mainline Muslim system wants to drive out and take over and by the sword make everyone submit. It's patriarchal. It totally enslaves women, and the left's allied with it because it's anti-Western. And so the plan was destabilize the Middle East, put in radical Muslims.
There we go.
And then turn them loose to overwhelm Europe and the U.S., then have a clash of civilizations, and then have a giant World War III with the Muslims that kills the Christians, the Jews, and the Muslims. And then Albert Pike's true Illuminati, founder of the KKK plan, which is public, comes into view for the new world government where we worship Lucifer.
There we go, man. I just feel that like we just play this game when we start demonizing. Like for me, dude, I don't think like you hear about it. You know, I've heard you talk about how like this system in Hollywood is demonizing white guys, making all white guys racist. You're not racist. You're Mexicans, but you know you're all. I'm not racist. Aaron's not a racist, right? But it's like when I hear people like, I don't think Muslims hate our freedom. I don't think gays are corrupting youth. I don't think we can go down this line of people.
Sure. Most Muslims actually probably do want to live in the West and not be under it. But the fact is, once Islam gets to a certain percentage, all the Muslim countries are 99%. They don't put up with anybody else once they get to a number because the radicals run it.
Right,
and
but
so,
we assassinate the moderates, right? We took out the moderates and we put in the crazy.
No, you're absolutely right. And that's the globalist plan for this clash of civilizations that Dick Cheney wrote about in April of 2000, Rebuilding America's Defenses, PNAC. Type in PNAC document. They had it up for like 10 years and took it down. And they said we need 3,000 people dead like Pearl Harbor, 3,000 at 9/11.
Yeah.
And they laid the whole plan out.
Yeah.
So you're absolutely right.
I love this. This has been a lot of fun. I want to talk to you real quick about who runs America. Who do you think runs America right now? If you had to go, like, who is in charge? Who is calling the shots right now?
A consortium of old, powerful robber baron families. Some are Chinese, some are British, some are Jewish, some are Mexican, some are
Mexican.
No, seriously.
Come on, man. Come on.
Mexico has more billionaires than Switzerland, bro.
Oh shit!
I'm not bashing Mexico. I'm just telling you.
Carlos
El
Slim.
Chapo, dude.
Wait, we have more billionaires than who? I gotta remember this.
Switzerland.
Fuck yeah.
El Chapo was a district manager. Can we agree on that one? He
Yes.
was a district manager.
He was
assistant crew chief.
Yeah, he
That's
was.
right.
Dude.
He was exactly. He was the night manager.
Yeah, dude. He was just fucking a
Just like Manuel
manager.
Noriega worked for the CIA.
For sure, dude.
So it's all public. That's the thing is they think we're idiots. And,
Right.
And so here's who runs it. It's powerful interlocking families that have what they call royal roundtable groups. The British set these up. The Royal Institute of International Affairs, that became a CFR here. They have their own councils in Europe. And the same 20 or 30 guys all then sit on the boards of Bilderberg, CFR, Trilateral Commission, and then they put out policies that all the other corporations and banks have to follow, or they get broken up, they get attacked. So there's a global corporate mafia that are mainly scientific dictators who see themselves as technocrats who want to bring in a one world government where they track everything you do
Yes.
to then control the population
Yes.
and bring in this future tyranny that's going to be a post-human world where they eliminate all humans. They believe their God, Lucifer, tells them they have to kill everyone after the world government's established, and then they will merge with Silicon and become a god. But they have to merge with this god that then comes and collects different civilizations, and the head of the Illuminati at the time was Arthur C. Clarke. So he wrote Childhood's End. That's an allegory for the actual plan transmitted to them interdimensionally by Lucifer.
Now, when you bring up Lucifer, people might think you're nuts, but and
Listen,
no,
I
hold
don't
on.
even believe this. They do.
No. I'm gonna back you up here. I'm gonna back you up
believe
here. Albert Pike wrote the Freemason Bible, right?
Hold on. Has
Wait,
anyone
hold
ever
on.
seen
Let
it?
me
Has
finish
anyone
this.
ever
Let me
seen it?
fucking
Has
finish
anyone
this.
seen it?
Let me
Albert
finish
Pike
this.
wrote it.
Let me finish this.
Okay.
I'm not ignoring you.
Fuck. Albert Pike wrote the Freemason Bible, right? Like 1870s or something like that, correct?
Right after the Civil War.
Right. And in there, he says that Lucifer is the Freemason god.
Lucifer
right?
is God.
Now, you might think, has anybody read that? Have you seen it? Well, we had Pat Miletich, who's a former UFC fighter. He's in the Hall of Fame. He was on the show. And I heard he was a Freemason. So I asked him. I said, you're a Freemason, right? He goes, yes. And then I asked him, do you know who Albert Pike is? He goes, of course. And I go, do you know in the Bible, the Freemason Bible he wrote, he said that y'all's God is Lucifer. Now, the correct answer would have been, that's bullshit. That's taken out of context. That would have been the correct answer. But he didn't say that. He said, oh, Lucifer means light. And then from that point on, I shut the fuck up. And I'm like, oh, shit, I don't want to talk about this
Can
no
I just
more.
say something on that?
Right.
So, I mean, if you do some studying a long time ago, there's been a demonization of Mother Earth, which is like, what's the Antichrist? If Christ is God in heaven, the opposite of that is a woman on earth. It's Mother Earth. There's been a demonization of fucking connecting with you around you. There has been this take, which is
So
to me-
Lucifer's cool.
No, what I'm saying is that the
I get what
black
you're saying.
cube of Saturn is probably the real dark arts. But, you know, you have...
Although the Kaaba, the one that...
Yeah, which all that's the dark arts. And what they do is they take what is really that and they associate it with something else.
Okay, well, let me break this down.
Okay.
The Bible, what you're getting at is, in the Bible, there's only two contradictory points where it says Jesus is the morning star, and then it also says Lucifer is the morning star. And then you can get into the Mormons or those folks thinking both Jesus and Lucifer are brothers or whatever. The point is that in the real biblical Christian faith, that's not exactly what's going on. Kind of the New Agers say what you're saying, and I understand it, that, this whole cosmology of, God, the Father, the Son, the Holy Ghost, that's really Saturn, that's the devil. Mother Earth is this, and the left-hand path is feminine, and that's really what Lucifer is. But if you get to what the elites are into,
Yes.
their God says...
Yes.
You've got to get rid of these humans. I'm going to give you eternal life. I'm going to give you technology and this divine code that was given to British scientists in the 1850s. They wrote books. Darwin had visions where he came up with this. He was married to the Wedgwoods and the Galtons and all these families that developed and envisioned DNA, super plans, computers, biometrics 170-something years ago. And what they envisioned, they've now manifest.
Yes.
And they believe they were getting it from spirits. Okay. So that's why I say interdimensional.
Are they lizard people?
That's David Icke says all that.
Do you believe that?
I'm not taking hallucinogens. I've never seen this stuff. I'm like an anthropologist
Okay.
or a sociologist
Okay.
or a historian or an archaeologist telling you the religion of the establishment. None of them are
Dark
atheists.
arts.
They are trying to contact interdimensional beings to get knowledge. And the beings give them advanced knowledge that they can then farm out and then have us build. Okay? Because humans are builders. I don't think these dark entities even came up with this. They've seen it before. There's been other worlds, obviously. So they're trying to repeat something they've done before. They give the basic vague breakdown. We then build it as the real alchemist. We're more advanced than these dark creatures. And
The reptiles.
well, whatever it is, I'm telling you, the establishment are a bunch of soulless people
Yes.
that have sold their
Psychopaths.
soul for psychopaths, sociopaths. Maybe it's genetic. They could be black, they could be Asian, they could be Jewish, they could be German, they
we
could be
go.
Native American. It doesn't matter. There's people that resonate with the darkness, and these entities like Avatar can literally just jack into their bodies at a certain point and control them. So they do rituals to kill kids to divorce themselves from God, or they do other rituals to poison people in mass, or knowingly ship out factor VIII blood product to millions of hemophiliacs like Bayer did to kill people. And the executives bragged about it because that's their sacrament to their God. They've got to do sins to break their connection from God. They've got to do demonic things to lower their energy down so these beings can then interface with them. So that's why they do these horrible things, is to lower their energy wave so these things can come in at a lower plane. It's kind of like Stranger Things, where it's upside down
all
world.
Stranger Things.
It's upside down
Yes.
world. You understand?
Yes,
They're flipping it.
dude.
That's why everything's upside down, everything's inverted.
So let me ask you something, man. So you believe multiple dimensions and all that stuff. Does that contrast with your fucking Christian faith?
Well, check this out. When you were on Joe Rogan's podcast, a lot of people were tripping out and basically losing credibility for you when you start talking about interdimensional beings and aliens. But you could go on YouTube and watch scientists from CERN talking in front of a bunch of people at CERN, talking about how they figured out how to get into. They figured out that there's a whole shitload of dimensions and parallel universes, and they overlap, and they think they can reach into the shadows of these other dimensions and pull things out. They're talking about the shit he's talking about in CERN.
Sure.
They're talking about this at CERN.
What's
Isn't
his
that
face
crazy?
from Tesla? He went on and said they did a supercut of these two guys talking pretty much the same exact thing.
Yeah, so I'm backing you up. So when people
Elon
think
Musk,
when
yeah.
people think that they make like memes and shit out of all the crazy shit you're talking about, interdimensional beings and aliens and demons, but that's what they're talking about at CERN. The top scientists are talking about that shit.
Well, Eddie, that's exactly it. Like I told you, I'm studying what the superconducting super collider scientists and the cyclotron operators are saying. I'm studying what the top genetic engineers are saying. I'm studying what Elon Musk has said, but I was saying it 20-something years ago because Elon Musk said, I go to these big billionaire conferences, and they're all talking about interdimensionals and how it's all a simulation and how they're communicating with these other things. And they take Joe Rogan's show when I'm on, 7 months before, and it's word for word. It isn't that Elon's plagiarizing me or I'm plagiarizing him.
But you agree.
I'm telling you what the establishment believes. They don't believe there's no God or there's no energy or there's no dimensions. They don't want the public knowing about it because when you start thinking about it, it opens up your mind that's designed to know about all that.
I think that they're probably bullshitting and they have no idea how to get to these other dimensions, but they want the money coming in. That's what I think. I don't know. But this is changing the subject a little bit.
No, I'm going to go back to this.
Okay, go ahead.
Change the subject. We could talk for hours about cyclotrons. They've discovered all these new quarks, all these new different particles. They've put them into function. They've created artificial suns in laboratories 40 years ago. They've created black holes in Japan 30 years ago. This is all on video. It's all confirmed. And these cyclotrons, these colliders firing these protons and things into big blocks of lead could create a strangelet. And that's just like in this.
What's a strangelet?
Take like the Star Trek that came out, like the second one a few years ago, where Vulcan gets destroyed, and they inject that particle into the planet, and then it just implodes.
Yeah.
That's a strangelet. So it sinks to the center of the Earth, and then it builds mass until it pulls the whole planet in. It's a type of black hole. And so they could create a strangelet. They could create a black hole. They could create a antimatter explosion, the equations show. And these same equations were German equations from the late 1890s by Max Planck and others that they made classified. And they kind of farmed it out through Einstein, where on boards they were drawing out theoretically uranium, plutonium, and what these things could do to create a chain reaction. So that's why, I mean, I hear what you're saying. They want a bunch of money, but that's called pure research, and it's proven there's something there.
Now, changing subjects a little bit. I follow Q. I follow everything that's going on in Washington, D.C., Russian collusion, hoax, all that shit. But the one thing that scares the shit out of me, Alex, is in the middle of all this shit going on with Russian collusion, all the last 2 years, and Trump and all that, they are spraying the skies with chemtrails harder than ever fucking before. Does that have anything to do with 5G? Are the chemtrails and 5G connected? What the fuck is going on? They're spraying every day out here. It's incredible. Like the clouds today, all fake. What's going on with that shit?
Well, can I answer the first question?
Yeah.
That was Q. Q and 4chan and 8chan at first was just somebody playing games. But the whole cosmology that Trump's trying to take power from the Chi-Com globalist takeover, so at least America has bargaining chips, is true. And people at some levels in the government do like the public knowing that there is a move for indictments, there is a move to take the deep state down, because that actually builds the momentum and the belief, kind of like Oprah's secret, that it's going to happen. And now Nunes, the Republican leader, the ranking member of the House Judiciary Committee, has sent 8 referrals for criminal indictments with the evidence of Comey and Clapper and Brennan. This all happened last Friday.
Yeah, you know what? Q is real.
You're not a Q guy, though, right?
Q is real.
What I'm saying is it's a bunch of people on there. Some of it's disinfo, some of it's real.
It's disinfo for a reason.
But wait a minute. It turned out being right about Mueller.
Yes.
So far, there was nothing in
dude, there's so much. Anyways, all right. I follow Q, and everything that's going on right now. Q's been talking about this for a year. All this shit.
You know, I like the fact Q's waking people up.
There's no way it's some fucking. Because look. The mainstream media is pushing hard that Q's a hoax. That should tell you something.
I'll tell you.
Like
I'll tell you what happened.
That should tell you something.
I thought Q was real.
Q is being fucking buried. The people talking about Q are being buried on YouTube. That should tell you something. Who's YouTube burying? They're burying 9/11 videos. They're burying anti-vax videos. They're burying flat Earth videos. That should tell you something. Why are they the videos they're hiding? There's a reason they're hiding them. So they're hiding Q. They're bashing Q. The mainstream media is constantly bashing Q. All the shit that's going on right now with the Russian collusion hoax, Q's been talking about this whole time. It's right on schedule. But anyways,
well, just to be clear,
fuck that. Fuck that. What's up with all these goddamn chemtrails? What the fuck?
We'll get to that now. I have to finish this. I'm not trying to compete with Q. Here's what happened. We said the Russia collusion was fake. I was under investigation for it. They had congressional hearings with my name. They deplatformed me mainly over saying I was a Russian agent with no proof. So we knew there were indictments coming. We knew that it was criminal. We first told Trump how they were illegally spying on him. So I knew that was open source. I'm saying Q has more credibility now, at least some of the people. The problem was I really respected Dr. Jerome Corsi. He wrote a lot of big books, done a great job. And then he said Q was real. And then he came out and said, no, Q's not real now. And that kind of created this big battle where, because he worked for me, Q started attacking me. So I said, well, they must be bad if they're attacking me. Well, it turns out, of course, he's now suing me.
What?
He's now been doing a bunch of stuff. So I get how I was kind of
God damn, I'd love to be your lawyer, dude.
Okay, so what is going on?
It's all getting
What's going on? The fucking heavy chemtrails. Tell me.
Okay, so let's go over it.
Before we start, I just want to say, everybody, that this is very important. Listening makes us smarter and more connected to people. It makes us better partners, parents, and leaders. And there's no better place to start listening than Audible. Start listening with a 30-day Audible trial with your first audiobook plus 2 Audible originals for free. Visit audible.com/tinfoilhat or text tinfoilhat to 500-500. That's right. You can listen to everything. I've listened to Behold the Pale Horse on that Audible. If you want to listen to Harry Potter / Fantastic Beasts or any other Audible books, go to audible.com/tinfoilhat or text tinfoilhat to 500-500, okay? Just go check it out. We appreciate them sponsoring Tinfoil Hat. I love Audible. I listen to it all the time. It is one of my favorite apps
I love
to
it
go
too.
on. It's great, right?
I don't read books anymore. I go to Audible.
Yeah, look at you. Alex Jones, you're a good fucking dude.
My kids are calling. I'm just going to plug this in so I can talk to them. I'll be right back in 2 minutes.
Okay, all right. Let's grab his wallet so he can't run off real quick.
Hey, real quick, before he talks about the chemtrails, punch in John Brennan chemtrails, admits chemtrails. And let's watch that video. It's like 1 minute so people know that the CIA already admitted that chemtrails are real.
Yeah, for sure, dude. We all know it's real. I hate John Brennan.
Look at that. This is John Brennan when he was the director of the CIA. Look at, okay, pause. So first, the idea that the CIA is spraying the skies with metallic particles, that was the craziest tinfoil hat conspiracy theory out there. Like, you were ridiculed if you thought that. The CIA, they think the CIA is spraying the skies with chemicals. Dude, you live by an airport. That's just condensation. It's just heat in the fucking engine. You're by an airport, fool. And so what are the odds that a crazy tinfoil hat conspiracy theory that the CIA is spraying metallic particles in the sky? What are the odds that that becomes the exact same theory that's going to save the planet? Because that's what he's going to talk about now. Now, the crazy tinfoil hat conspiracy theory, now the CIA figured out that that exact same crazy theory is the theory that's going to save the world from global warming. Isn't that incredible? What are the odds? What are the odds? What are the odds? What are the odds? Astronomical. Play it. We're going to watch John Brennan talk about chemtrails, admitting it in 2016. Watch, blast it. Rewind it. Turn it up and rewind it. Turn it up all the way. All the way. Is that the loudest?
Another example is the array of technologies, often referred to collectively as geoengineering, that potentially could help reverse the warming effects of global climate change. One that has gained my personal attention is stratospheric aerosol injection, or SAI, a method of seeding the stratosphere with particles that can help reflect the sun's heat in much the same way that volcanic eruptions do. An SAI program could limit global temperature increases, reducing some risks associated with higher temperatures and providing the world economy additional time to transition from fossil fuels. This process is also relatively inexpensive. The National Research Council estimates that a fully deployed SAI program would cost about $10 billion yearly. As promising as it may be, moving forward on SAI would also raise a number of challenges for our government and for the international community. On the technical side, greenhouse gas emission reductions would still have to accompany SAI to address other climate change effects, such as ocean acidification, because SAI alone would not remove greenhouse gases from the atmosphere. On the geopolitical side, the technology's potential to alter weather patterns and benefit certain regions of the world at the expense of other regions could trigger sharp opposition by some nations. Others might seize on SAI's benefits and back away from their commitment to carbon dioxide reductions. And as with other breakthrough technologies, global norms and standards are lacking to guide the deployment and implementation of SAI and other geoengineering initiatives. Now, I could go on and on.
And look at what's right on there, a link to contrails. So, a link to contrails.
They're
Come
literally
on.
saying a former CIA guy is full of shit, and that's
That's what they're saying.
Yep.
Come on, man.
You guys
That's
are
John Brennan at CFR. That's the Council on Foreign Relations.
Yeah.
That's the Illuminati. So that's the head of the CIA in front of the Illuminati talking about, that crazy tinfoil hat conspiracy theory. Yeah, you know what? It's actually going to save the world, that theory.
Well, I first talked about
Come on.
the geo.
Come on. People are retarded. You live by an airport. It's fucking condensation. It's fucking condensation. Fucking idiots. You're a fucking idiot.
Well, let me tell folks that, because this is something I do know the answer on, and I'm glad. I was going to say the exact same thing you just said. Notice it's John Brennan, the former director of the CIA, at the Council on Foreign Relations, reading off one of the 5 reports they put out in the last decade, saying they want a world government treaty to run the geoengineering that they already have. The Department of Energy spending $5 billion a year with key additives to the jet fuel that then, with the patents that are patented, aerosolize the aluminum dioxides, barium salts, and other things out to, quote, create nuclei in the atmosphere to create the condensation that then blocks rays. So yes, it is condensation, but it's got toxic aluminum dioxide, barium salts, and also different types of radioactive
Strontium?
Exactly. In it. This is admitted, and now they've gone to the highest levels of the world government, trying to get every country to have jet fuel makers add these chemicals, just like they had fluoride to the water, at an industrial level to put it all out. And then here's John Brennan, the head of the CIA at the time, saying we want a world government to do this, saying we're already doing it, saying we can save the planet from the made-up global warming, because I'll give you the real reason for them doing it in a moment. And then, absolutely, now whenever I talk about any subject, they put a thing under it saying Alex Jones is fake, none of this is real. So Encyclopedia Britannica is saying, even though he's admitting weather weapons, weather control, geoengineering, terraforming at the Council on Foreign Relations, that I said is the governing body of North America, that's how they really run it, you ask who runs it, there he is at the real governing body, introducing to the public what they've been doing for decades. Here's what happened. In 1992, a group of scientists won the Nobel Prize for coming up with a planet to add these chemicals to the jet fuel to have it distributed. The pilots don't know, the public doesn't know. So they can have a jet right here with no condensation flying right by the other jet. Yes, there's old-fashioned ice crystals before the 1990s that would dissipate behind it. Now they sit there, they form, they space out for hours. And so here they are doing it. And I talked to the former head of Air Force Weapons Development who ran HAARP, Benton K. Parton, 3-star general. And he said at first they were told they were spraying up at the North Pole because Russia is just right here from Canada and the U.S. because they learned with these over-the-horizon radars as an early warning. The excuse was, because I always tell the military it's for a good reason, starting in the 70s they were doing it. They would have jets go spray up there. He was running this program. He said it was an over-the-horizon radar at that point. So a missile launches. You don't have good satellites at the time that can always catch it. But you're firing radar, which is the HAARP, to the Aurora Borealis. It creates basically like a lens instantly to see it right as it gets up to like 20,000 feet. So now instead of only having 10-minute warning, you've got like a 20-something minute warning for the missiles coming up.
Okay.
But that was only one use that they told them they were doing it. And that was from the guy that ran it. So let's move
What
forward.
about military chaff? Same thing, right?
Yeah. Well, that's to stop missiles that are coming up to hit and to confuse the radar.
Yeah, the military spray chaff. That's not a secret. That's metallic particles, right?
Yes. And you'll see weather people going, look, you see the military today, they sprayed chaff, here it is. So here's what we know. There's a multifaceted program. It's over-the-horizon radar. It's also used to kill weather systems to block rain when it's coming in. You can cause it and make it rain in the ocean instead of, say, on California. Weather weapons. They have a 1979 treaty barring the use of aerosol sprays in high-altitude injections that he mentioned. So we already have a treaty barring it in 1978, passed in 1979. You type in UN World Treaty on Weather Weapons. You have the Secretary of Defense, William Cohen, in 1998, telling Stars and Stripes at a military press conference, type in Secretary of Defense William Cohen talks about weather weapons and tectonic earthquake weapons and tsunami weapons.
Yes.
And he says, we have them, others have them. In Dubai and everywhere, they're making the desert green. China controls the weather now. Russia controls the weather now. The Doppler radars, I was told this by the engineer putting them in 25 years ago. When I was first getting on air, I thought he was crazy. He goes, listen, we're putting in Doppler radar to, quote, see storms coming in.
Yeah.
He goes, the power's 10 to 20 times what you need. He goes, they're frying the atmosphere and spraying aluminum dioxide out of the planes through their engines to fry it and then to manipulate and burn the atmosphere. So they're burning up the atmosphere. The aluminum then, if you look it up, all over the Western worlds where they've first been doing it, it's 5, 10, 20 times higher than it should be. Plants suddenly can't grow in the dirt because the aluminum, but Monsanto and others now have aluminum-resistant seeds and plants. So they're spraying aluminum all over the earth.
Ruin everybody else's shit, and they'll have the only ones that can grow.
Yes, and so it's a plan to have weather weapons. So the globalists are mad scientists. So if they can build a weather weapon, they better because somebody else might. And if they can build a seed that only lives in aluminum and that nobody else does, they'll be dominant.
Right.
So this is next level warfare. It's not about tanks. It's not about planes. It's about hydrofluorosilicic acid in your water that lowers your IQ and gives you cancer and lowers fertility. Harvard studies. It's about hitting you with vaccines that don't protect you from the actual pathogen. It actually makes you sick and actually lowers your immunity. They even admit on the insert. It's not about protecting us from the sun. It's about frying the atmosphere and actually making it toxic and worse. It's about killing the soil. It's about total world government. It's about 1 in 35,000 having autism. 30 years ago, now it's 1 in 58. It's about a world exterminus depopulation program being carried out against all of you. And you just heard the CIA head admit it, but they tell you because it's so credible, oh my gosh, it's not real.
So who is the bigger?
But get the mind control. They're because it's the same on Google.
Does it have anything to do with 5G?
Absolutely.
What's 5G?
How does 5G and
Okay.
chemtrails? How do they
HAARP?
connect?
What is HAARP? It's an electromagnetic array. I had the also technical director of HAARP on one time. This is like 18 years ago. Somebody's got to find it online. Nobody can seem to find it in my archives. But about 18, 19
They're
years
wiping shit off the internet, aren't they?
Well, listen to this. I get a call from an Air Force colonel to my producer. My show is already on about 100 stations. And they said, hey, the director of HAARP is a civilian. He'd like to come on, but we're going to control it because he's the civilian director, but the military runs this. He comes on, he goes, Alex, it's all fine. Don't worry about it. Blah, blah, blah. You don't need to have Dr. Nick Bagach on anymore. He lived up in Alaska, and his brother's a senator and all that. It was exposing it. But all of a sudden during the break, the colonel pops in and goes, hey, he's going to have to get off because of what he just said. He said on air, oh, it's so fun. We can turn it on at night and ignite the atmosphere into fire. And the head of HAARP on my show, Mad Scientist, said we can ignite the atmosphere.
Yeah.
And so you're asking, what is Doppler radar? A high-powered antenna array manipulating the atmosphere. What is 5G? Millions of arrays manipulating the atmosphere. What is HAARP? Big antenna. So if you look it up, Dubai, turning the desert green, and then you look up Daily Mail articles and Smithsonian articles, and it's antenna arrays that are actually Doppler. It's the same antenna blasting the sky so that desert particulates then get electrical. They take on water, forming larger nuclei, and it makes it rain. So basically, it's just terraforming, but they don't want us peasants involved in the debate about it. So he all double talk. Brennan said, but other countries are nervous and won't work with us. So we're going to keep it secret that we're already doing it, but I'm here giving you a report that we've already perfected this.
So is he? How treasonous is John Brennan? Is he up there with Benedict Arnold?
I mean, John Brennan and Clapper and all them spied on Trump during the election, tried to stop him from getting in. They're running deep state CIA people for Congress everywhere and getting him elected. And it's just nightmarish. Trump represents a group that doesn't want to give kids autism, that doesn't want world government, and that doesn't think that the United States should be destroyed. He's not even perfect. But under the globalist plan, it's total exterminism, and Trump represents a group that doesn't want to kill everybody.
Okay.
So he's not perfect.
I want you to hear me out on something, Alex, and then you could tell me what you think. How much of this is theater? Just hear me out right now. So we know that Bill Clinton, George Bush all work together, right? They're old friends, CIA, smuggling cocaine through fucking Arkansas. While everyone's looking at Florida, all the coke's coming through fucking Arkansas. So then the
There's
election,
no doubt they were CIA. They were working with him. He even took a dive so they could get elected in 93.
Let me hear. Okay,
in Arkansas.
so now we have the guy, fucking George Bush, is a one term. He loses to Bill Clinton. And hear me out. So now we're fast forward 20 years ago. Hillary's running, and we know that Trump and Hillary are old friends from back in the day.
They met
Is
some
it
in New York.
possible? Is it possible that this is all theater?
No, Hillary legitimately thought she was going to win. They had Newsweek.
Why
printed
hasn't
up
she been arrested yet?
They had to clear out the senior level of the FBI first because they all had her back. They launched Comey, McCabe, Mueller. They all had her back.
They launched a fake investigation on Trump, that very stay-behind group, that embedded group, so Trump couldn't get that done. And I'm not saying Trump's perfect.
Right.
He's just not a pro-human depopulation pusher.
Okay.
But getting back to the theater, people ask me, they go, your lawyer, just to get this on record, said at your custody battle 2 years ago that you are an actor. That's not what happened. My ex-wife wanted to present in the hearing on evidence. They have a hearing about what could come in as evidence. Video of me like 15 years ago in Joker makeup doing a comedy piece.
Yeah.
Okay. And acting crazy. When the Batman Joker was coming out. And my lawyer got up and said, and this is how the media cherry picks. If anybody can learn from this. And he said, Your Honor, when Jack Nicholson plays the Joker, he's not really crazy as the Joker. Mr. Jones was doing a satire piece. The media said, Alex Jones's lawyer admits he's fake. Just like I said, some of the public has like kind of a type of psychosis. That didn't mean I have psychosis. I was saying I can get how people get to one extreme or the other.
Okay.
And I was explaining how that works. But that's what they do. They pick and choose. But you, Eddie, I'm glad you brought that up. I'd read the Council on Foreign Relations report. I'd seen that Brennan was there and seen the transcript. I didn't know there was video, that astounding video of him admitting the whole program in front of everybody.
Yep. Now, what's up with 5G and chemtrails? What's the connection?
5G is basically every block, and it's even smaller millimeters that use less power but are even stronger and can manipulate the atmosphere even more.
We saw that in Arizona.
Does 5G work better with chemtrails? What is it?
I know that what General Parton said he could talk about but was classified, he could only talk about what had been declassified, that its original use was to manipulate the ionosphere and manipulate different parts of the atmosphere. And
so you don't know the connection between 5G?
Let me tell you, over-the-horizon radar. So you beam into the atmosphere electromagnetic radiation.
Okay.
It then is at light speed, shoots all around the world, and creates a model in the atmosphere, a 3D model that now sensors can basically electromagnetically scan and get a map of everything in the world. Our government, since the 70s, has radar that covers the entire world, a secret radar system that is at the edge of space through electromagnetic manipulation of the atmosphere. Just like electricity can go through, a copper wire.
So that's what the metallic particles are for, to conduct electricity and radio waves?
They told the military it was, and we're only testing it up in Alaska. But as usual, the globalists had dual uses.
Okay, is there a difference between globalists and not Zionists? Are they two different things? Can they, or they have the same agenda?
I'm sure as everybody knows, there's probably 5 different types of Zionists. There's Christian Zionists, there's Orthodox Zionists, there's leftist Zionists, there's communist Zionists. And so it just becomes an easy throwaway in the media to go, oh, this person doesn't want Israel blown off the map and handed over, the most crazy Islamicists there are who are always fighting with each other. So he sold out to the all-powerful magical Zionists. I mean, you go over to Israel, obviously, the people connected to Benjamin Netanyahu, had one of the previous prime ministers probably whacked. It's just like here, they're fighting.
Yes.
And so there are Zionists that believe Israel has a right to exist. Then there are whacked out Rothschild Zionists who are just using Jews and others for their world government.
Yes.
And so I would say that whole Rothschilds model, I wouldn't say it's a Jewish conspiracy. It's just the Rothschilds who are trying to get rid of Benjamin Netanyahu. Like people say, well, why?
You think he's a good guy, Netanyahu?
Well, let me explain.
He's not Dick Cheney of the Middle East.
I was in the airport flying here, and I bought these magazines. The rest of my hotel room. And one was The Economist calling him King BB and he's the worst guy on the earth.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't want to get rid of Israel.
Yeah.
And then and who publishes The Economist? The Rothschilds, literally.
Right.
And then I saw another Rothschild publication, and it was saying another business inside deal, and it was saying the same thing on the cover. So I read the article, and it's how horrible and how evil he is. I'm not saying BB's perfect, but he at least believes Israel exists, and he believes in the sovereignty of the country, and people should be able to own guns.
Why would the Rothschilds want to get rid of Israel?
Well, they helped create
Israel.
Because they have a larger plan in the Albert Pike operation. They've got that big pyramid at the Supreme Court and all that out of this crisis comes this world government. And I don't want to say the Rothschilds are one monolithic group. It's a big family as well. The Rothschilds were just good at getting both sides of a war to be financed by them, going back to Napoleon and
was Hitler a Rothschild?
No, that's the fact that his dad's mother worked in a Rothschild house.
Didn't get knocked up?
It doesn't really matter because Hitler was running around killing Jews. So I don't think it really. That's one of those fables you can't prove one way or the other. But there
Did he die in Argentina?
Well, there is arguments that Schicklgruber, who got pregnant, might have gotten pregnant by a Rothschild.
But that's his mother, right? No, his grandmother. His grandmother. So is Kushner a fuckface? Jared Kushner a giant piece of shit?
I don't really. They say
it's a fuckface, right?
They say Kushner runs a lot of stuff, and I don't know if that's even the truth. I got sucked in with Roger Stone. Nothing against Roger Stone, but I tried to hire Roger Stone as a political pundit on air because he really knows a lot of stuff. He's got a gag order right now because of the case. He always is on Roger Stone time. So he had all this other stuff that he was involved in, and I kind of would get into inner politics of the White House and what was going on, and Steve Bannon's a piece of crap, and I'm like, no, he's not. And the other people, oh, Kushner's bad, but then this happens, and I learned I'm about policies. So I'm going to lobby for policies. I'm not going to get involved in the intramural Game of Thrones happening at the White House because that's what had this. I'm not even afraid of it. It's not my fight. I had the leftist CIA come after me. I had all these groups come after me thinking I wanted a seat in D.C. at the trough because Trump would listen to me and call me. So they flipped out that, Stephen Miller, who's a great guy, and other guys were in there, basically taking what I was saying, looking it up, putting it in speeches. And so when they started finding word for word Trump was saying what I was saying, because it made sense, they started flipping out. And when the Democrats went to the RNC and saw a third of the shirts, InfoWars shirts, they realized, oh my God, they looked at my demographics, they looked at my numbers, they got scared. And then I had political groups trying to get me to throw my support behind one subsection or not, because once you get that big, it's like a cult, and I didn't join the cult. But I want to make clear here, I'm not for Stephen Bannon, I'm not for Jared Kushner. I think it's creepy that they
Does Kushner have Israel's, is he like a fucking Israeli agent in the White House? Does he represent their needs?
I think the U.S. and Israel have a lot of the same interests, and where those work, we can work together.
State of Israel.
But I think Jared Kushner got the Saudi Arabians to stop funding Al-Qaeda and ISIS so we could get rid of them.
Interesting.
And I think Kushner, Netanyahu likes him. And all I'm saying is Every leftist publication and globalist publication says that Kushner sucks and that Benjamin Netanyahu sucks. I'm not getting involved in Israel and their politics. I know, though, it's not one monolithic group.
Right.
In fact, I'm not getting involved because it's like sticking your hand in a hornet's nest. They're all over there fighting for power.
Wow.
Okay? And so I just want it to not be chemtrailed and have them trying to, give my kids fluoride. And I don't care if you're Jewish or you're German or you're Chinese.
Teach it all.
I don't like the communist Chinese because they've killed 5 times what Hitler did. They basically own most of Hollywood now. They're trying to censor everybody, and they're trying to censor me. So I'm really pissed that communist Chinese are breathing down my throat. And I'm pissed at Israel in previous.
Is Israel working with China?
I was about to say, if you want to know what I'm pissed at Israel for, Israel with Netanyahu and others has been selling us out to China, but that was an Obama policy, so it was okay to do then. Trump said it's over now. Israel got caught, as you said, founding Hamas. Israel got caught
Thank you for
helping
that.
fund ISIS and Al-Qaeda in Syria, and that's wrong. And I said, when our government does it, it's wrong. When Israel does it, it's wrong. But when our government does something, we don't say all Americans are funding ISIS or Al-Qaeda.
I
So
agree
all I'm
with
saying
that,
is,
dude.
I'm not even an apologist for Israel. I am just sick of all the mentally ill people, just like when people say you're a shill. You're not a shill. I know Eddie Bravo's real. He doesn't get orders from anybody but himself. And I don't get orders from anybody but my own brain and my own research. So all I'm saying is, and listen, I didn't get bullied by all the Israel runs everything and you're Jewish and the Israel wipes your butt in the morning and tells you what to say. It's like saying Russia tells you what to say. No, it's not true. I got sick of all this when it got just more and more and more and more intense. And years ago I said, I'll give all these anti-Israel people what they want. It's true. I've made films about false flags, other false flags. I've mentioned a few of the false flags Israel's done. I had former Mossad agents on that exposed false flags Israel's did, just because it was the right thing to do. Lavon affair, whatever. I cover false flags, and I'm happy to criticize Israel, Russia, anybody that does it. The U.S. when criminals do it. And when I made Fabled Enemies and produced it, and it exposed all these false flags Israel's did, it made the anti-Israel crowd go even crazier and hate me more because they're anointed. They're up here and they get to say, like leftists, you're all racist and hate blacks and Hispanics. When is it true? Well, it's the same with these and most of these anti-Israel people, they're Nazis. They'll tell you they're not. Behind closed doors, they got
The
Hitler.
Nazis are everywhere,
They're
right?
everywhere. Well, I wouldn't say they're powerful, but the point is they're a cult because they're up here, and you didn't ever succeed at Infowars.com or Newswars.com. You didn't ever build anything. Everything's given to you. And no, that's a freaking lie. And I reject it, and I'm sick of it.
Okay.
And again, I'm not on the payroll of the Russians, the Vatican. There's all these cults out there.
Vatican's shady, dog.
Well, I know. I've exposed the Vatican. I have people on exposing it all the time.
Yeah.
People say I am run by the Vatican. I'm run by Israel. I'm run by Masons. I'm run by Russia. I'm run by the CIA. No, I did what I did myself, and I'm trying to find the truth just like you are.
Okay.
ranting.
I want to get
Eddie Bravo.
I think
Choke
I
me
would
out.
love to hear your opinion that nobody's been talking about. The FISA report.
By the way, I want to stay here a long time.
Yeah.
As long as you want to go. But Eddie flew from Japan. But those guys asked if I could do 2 minutes with them. Am I allowed to do that?
Okay. You want to do it right now?
No, I don't care.
no,
I'm
No,
asking.
we have about 20, 30 minutes to go, and then you're going to do that.
I want to go
Is
even
that cool?
longer.
Well, they have studio time, and I've been. I know this is my my fucking studio, my fucking bunker, but we have a
By
limited.
the way, that's a badass place out there too.
yeah, it's a wonderful place, man, and I'm very thankful you
Well, I want to
came
come
up.
back more on here.
You're
Let's keep
always
going.
welcome,
Let's keep going.
dude. You're up. I want you to tell everybody what FISA was, the whole story of FISA, and what is really going down right now.
And see, this reason I always start talking fast when I'm getting asked
The
good
Russian
questions.
collusion hoax.
Get into
Let me
that.
break it down. And I'm not trying to write myself into the story. You can pull clips up in early 2017 where they have Senate and House hearings saying Alex Jones is a Russian agent and he works for RT. I've never worked for RT.
I have no problem with RT. Why is RT bad?
I haven't even been on RT in 5 years.
What's wrong with them?
I mean, I've been a
Somebody
guest.
tell me what's wrong with RT. They are not bought and sold
kinda
by
liberal.
corporations.
A little too
They're
liberal.
not bought and sold by fucking pharmaceutical companies, the military-industrial complex.
But they are state run. No, I agree. My point is I don't work for them either. You know how frustrating it is to have my identity stolen, where the Sandy Hook crowd says Sandy Hook's my whole life and it wasn't 0.1%, or that I'm a Russian agent? It pisses me off. But let me break it down.
Okay,
What was the
break it
question
down.
about that?
Break down the Russian collusion hoax.
Okay, here's how it goes. And this has all come out in the WikiLeaks. Hillary's admitted it all. So I got to start at the beginning. I'll try to be calm, but I'll do it just stalled as quick as I can. Hillary Clinton got Donald Trump elected, but it wasn't where they were working together the way they thought. They made fun of him at the Correspondents' Dinner. The truth is, Donald Trump's got a lot of businesses, a lot of things going on, but he's more of a pop star, the WWE. He'd never been in the CFR, the political class. He is a loner. They really thought he was a joke. So they'd hang around him with Hollywood stars.
She chose him, right? That was part of the email.
This is all admitted, yeah. So there's this field of 14 other Republicans. She goes, man, these guys are too serious on policy, and I'm really worried about some of these other people like Huckabee and even Jeb Bush, even though they work together, they're still fighting for power sometimes. And it's in the WikiLeaks. As you know, this is not our opinion. And she's saying, I want all the media to focus on him and make fun of him, but make him number one because I believe I can beat him better at the primary. Okay? Now, this is all public, and you've done your study. Even the Associated Press admits this.
Yeah.
So what happens when they go to the RNC, and I've got airplanes in Cleveland, Ohio, flying around saying Hillary for president, Infowars.com. You've got all the world media there. A third of the people are wearing Infowars.com or Hillary for president shirts. I sold 100,000 of those babies.
Yes.
Okay? Those people were there.
Yes.
So the Young Turks used to have me on all the time. When they saw me and they said, come on up on stage, it was all a setup, and then I come up there 5 minutes later, and they blow up at me. That's because they hated me so much because they'd seen all the shirts and were starting to get scared because they knew the internal polls were showing Trump was actually pulling ahead of Hillary because they were adding like 15 points more in every poll for her. They would sample 15% more Democrats to get that number. That's all admitted. And then Donna Brazil's in the emails of WikiLeaks, rigging questions for CNN. It didn't work. So on election night, I was first told this. Roger Stone's sources were so incredible. It came out like a year later. It was true. Even our own people have written books on it. Hillary can drink like a handle of vodka a day. She's drunk as hell, had all these brain tumors, you name it, falling down in New York on 9/11. And when she didn't win, she was so pissed she began attacking John Podesta physically, screaming, yelling. They had to sedate her. That's why she didn't come out and do a concession speech. No one never does that. That's why she didn't show up for like a day and bombed out of her brain when she did. So she flipped out so bad because it's her right to be president. And all this stuff's meant to be happen that the day after, Google has had internal videos that have come out. You can pull them up where they go, well, we were supposed to elect her. We promised her. This will never happen again. We're going to censor all the conservatives, all the nationalists. It starts today. And that's when the shadow banning against me and others began. They used me as the beta test. Google used me as the beta, thinking, well, we can make him unpopular, demonize him, and then we can shut him down. We'll use tools. He's a big show. We can shut him down. We can shut anybody down. This has all come out. Project Veritas went internal at Google and YouTube and the New York Times at meetings where they went. Our first model is Jones. This is right after the election. We bring him down. We bring everybody down. So we even have the spies inside getting the blueprints. None of this is my opinion. Like you had Brendan admitting chemtrails earlier. Okay,
right.
So all this is happening. All of a sudden, all hell breaks loose.
Right.
I've got PIs following me. I've got they had a couple of operatives in the office we didn't know about who activated, started stirring up stuff, saying I was wearing, I can't even get into it on air. The point is, it was insane. This is like a movie now, like Enemy of the State. Okay, brakes are going out on my car. People are death threatening my family. Suddenly, the whole media backs up my ex-wife trying to take the kids from me. I had full custody. Everything goes crazy. I'm having custody battles, and there's 50 reporters, national news, in the deal, all running fake stories to get my kids taken away. So you asked me about Trump and the election. Imagine what it's like for Trump. I'm suddenly getting hit by this. Suddenly Trump, who they make fun of at correspondence dinners, who they call retarded, who they call stupid. One of the few attacks they've had is that cartoon that Colbert does about Trump, where he is watching his dad saying he's not good enough, and where he's being put under pressure, and where the correspondence dinner's making fun of him.
Right.
That's actually Trump. I mean, this dude's like super competitive and like works 18 hours a day for real. So he kind of blacked out. And that's the reason he ran. He wasn't going to run, didn't want to. And they would say, oh, he didn't want to run, didn't want to win. No, later he did. That his wife said, you do it in Scotland. I was told the story about Roger Stone. A year later, it was in Politico, exactly as I've been told, about how, the article was called How He Did It. And so he literally, underdog, never ran for office, defeated them. They had all this egg on their face. So they went, who was his number one supporter? Jones. He's the populist. Trump's taken on all of his nomenclature, all of his words. We've got to stop him now. And they thought if they could destroy me, that would demoralize the audience that got him elected. But it's already spread all over the world, so it's too late because I was only rebooting Americana. Now, enough about me. And this is in a nutshell. So by the time that there's the convention, they go, oh, my God, he's probably going to win. We're going to have to steal it. He's going to have a landslide, despite all their election fraud. Okay, and so they already had illegal surveillance, Obama and Brennan and Hillary on, and that's come out.
Hold on, let's get into that because that's the whole thing.
He's about to get into it.
No, you're skipping on. When does that start? What do they do?
Here's what we know. Okay, I got secret documents from someone associated with Sheriff Joe Arpaio. In fact, the detective came to my office, Maricopa County, and he said, we have classified DEA files, and these are who the NSA has been surveilling, who are public figures under Obama. And I said, I don't want the 300,000 names. I want you to print me off. There already been court cases. These were confirmed.
Yes.
They basically tried to put Arpaio in prison for stuff like this.
Right.
But Arpaio's not involved. Former DEA agent, sheriff, all that stuff.
Shady dude.
Well, whatever. The point is that I get these documents, and listen, I had at that time, I had Trump's Mar-a-Lago private apartment number. I had his numbers in New York, not just his switchboard. So I'm looking at this thing. It's my private office line at an office in my house I never used at a house I've been moved out of 8 years ago. And it's the next office line number I've got. It's my fax machine. So they gave us the printouts of all our numbers. This is all confirmed stuff. This is NSA intercepts that the DEA has given access to in drug cases if they want it. It was Trump's cell phones, everything. So I'm actually looking at this and blacking it out for TV, but I've got numbers and I even got numbers I hadn't had, and I was able to call up Trump. So like 10 numbers for Trump. And so they were surveilling him the day Obama got elected. They began surveilling all the people they thought might be right-wing or nationalist. I was in there, Trump was in there. It was over 300,000 people, okay, in America that they started full-time officially surveilling and then giving other agencies access to. And I had law enforcement, had a lot of huevos to give us these documents. Back when, the reason I got the documents was back in January, Obama had said in January of 2017, right when Trump was about to get inaugurated, Obama said, don't worry, we know he's a Russian, to the New York Times. We've been surveilling him. We'll give you the evidence as I leave office. He'll probably won't even get seated at the inauguration. That was in the New York Times, remember? They said 7 ways to Sunny to get back at you, Schumer said. So I go on air and I'm like, listen, they admitted they were spying. All this is going on. They were spying on him during the campaign. They admit they're doing it. They all freak out. I have this detective approach me with these documents that had already come out in federal court. Was the only way he was able to give them to me, or they'd be classified. We put it out. No one covers it. Then Trump starts paying attention because I've got his phone numbers. I can talk to him. I tell him this is going on. I say, sir, I've been advised by law enforcement, you need to, because they can't talk to him, you need to look at the FISA warrants. There were illegal warrants against you using fake info that you were a Russian agent created by Hillary and CNN. I'm told this 2 years ago. Just came out 2 weeks ago that CNN was the source of the whole deal. So CNN gives it to Clapper and Brennan. They bring it to Obama. He orders it taken to the FISA court. They issue all these fake warrants. A year ago, with no fanfare, the FISA court issues a report saying we were given fraudulent warrants and calls for investigation. It gets zero coverage. I get calls from William Binney, former head of the NSA. Technical, he actually ran it. The technical head saying, look at this document, Alex. I've been told to tell you because it's declassified. It's been a month, no coverage of this. And so the document was actually the FISA court admitting they'd been lied to against the President of the United States. I cover it. What do I get? I get deplatformed right when I do that 9 months ago. Because now I've got the FISA report from the FISA court, 2 of them, an inspector general of the federal court saying this is a fraud and needs to be investigated, covering their ass, but no one will touch it. No one will touch the NSA documents that have him surveilled the whole 8 years of Obama and me. No, so yeah, no one will do any of this. And then and that's why all hell broke loose, because no one, I'm getting chills right now, no one else would put this out. So that's why they went crazy. That's why they came after me. And that's why I'm interweaving myself, because I'm the one that broke it all with my reporters. And Roger Stone's on the air in the middle of all this, super secret guy, won't tell me what's going on. Everything he told me kept coming true, so I had a lot of confidence in him. And then down the road, he's still a good guy, but it got even more cloak and dagger. And I'm just saying, I don't know what he was up to. Because later I got some visits and some other things, and the whole thing is insane. And sorry, go ahead.
I just want to ask you, where does Carter Page come? Is he a plant? Is Stephen Helper? Is this guy an old spook that George Bush used to use to fucking spy on Jimmy Carter? So it's cool. It's entrapment.
You already know all about it. Well, exactly. So here's what happens. He's about to win the nomination. They can't stop him. Now they know he's way ahead in the polls. They got to try to steal it. But they've already been illegally spying. So in case he gets elected, they want to unseat him saying he's a Russian agent. But in case they can also remove him before he gets inaugurated. They need to say he's a Russian now. So they go and they talk to hundreds of people involved with former CIA, FBI, and other spies and current. They come and approach people with business deals, offers. I don't know about Carter Page, but definitely the other guy you mentioned.
Stephen Helper.
In England.
Manafort,
Exactly.
Papadopoulos,
They're
Manafort.
all, listen, Manafort's shit he gets busted on is all old Clinton shit. It's all, dude, all the shit is just old Clinton
That's
shit.
right. Rosenstein, he 10 years ago, 12 years ago, cleared Manafort of all that because he did it for the Clintons, working for the CIA against Russia. Michael Caputo worked for the CIA, not as CIA, but for the CIA. He said it on my show, but it's on record, to infiltrate, try to overthrow the Russians. So they were even trying to burn their own operatives because they had some Russian connection. And so they try to set up Trump with all these informants. There's nothing there. He's so squeaky clean. They're like, he doesn't have lobbyists. He's not talking to anybody. We can't penetrate him. He's actually doing whatever he said he would do. So then once Trump wins, then they start going through all his lawyers, all his people, like Michael Cohen and others that hadn't paid taxes. They go to them and they say, you turn against him or we're going to put you in prison. And that's the next wave out of the Southern District of New York, is to go after Trump for all his people that may have their own corruption, but that Trump's not involved in. But they had to drop the Russiagate thing because all it did was implicate Hillary for illegal spying, Obama for illegal spying, and they can all go to jail. And that's what these indictments recommended by Devin Nunes. Devin Nunes, Friday, sent, so 3 days ago, sent 8 indictments drawn up to the Justice Department.
Referrals, right?
Referrals.
Yeah.
8 indictment referrals showing the perjury, showing the conspiracy, showing secret testimony they received the last 2 years in the House Judiciary Committee of how all this worked. I mean, let me tell you who rolled over. That was Lisa Page.
Lisa Page.
I mean, Lisa Page went in and said, I was ordered to do this. It's all a thing to overthrow Trump.
Clapper did it as well on CNN. He said Obama fucking ordered it.
Well, and that was just 2 weeks ago, because now they know they're about to get in trouble. And he goes, I was ordered by Obama to do the whole thing. It was all authorized to see if Trump was a Russian.
Is it possible that Obama goes to prison? Is that
I
possible?
don't see it. I don't see it.
Here's the deal. Here's why suddenly all these investigations in New York that don't affect Trump and Chicago about, he's got hundreds of lawyers. Any lawyer that didn't pay taxes, any lawyer that didn't pay for the medallion on a taxi cab, they're all getting put in jail to make up crap about Trump. But now this checkmate is, we can bring down Obama, we can bring down Hillary, and that's why suddenly you see the media starting to back off Trump, because he's got him by the balls.
But if they don't get anybody, you don't think this could be theater? I mean, this is so much like
Dude, I have lived it. Believe me, it ain't theater. Believe me, I've had Hillary breathing down my neck. I know that Trump's family can't fly on commercial planes. You know, they're very frugal. They only fly around on that big plane to show off for events when he's landing in a casino or a hotel. They all fly on, sometimes coach. I mean, they're tight asses. And they can't fly on airplanes. His daughters, their family.
Why?
I've got security here because
Assassination.
I may shake like 50 hands walking down the street, but one of them says, fuck you, you Russian. You're going to go to fucking prison. And even with security, sometimes they get a slap in. And, you know, I could act like a tough guy and try to fight him. I'm not going to do that and go to prison. So I'm saying I'm Alex Jones, and I'm hunted now by the left, because the left really believes I'm a Russian agent. They really believe I hate Mexicans. They really believe all this insanity.
You got 2 right here.
We're good.
I love Mexican food. I love Mexicans.
So let me just ask you this. I just want to get into this final thing as we wrap it up about this case. Why are you being taken to court when this guy, Wolfgang Helbig, goes way harder than you with a lot more about this case? Why are you, every time he wants to go to court, and every time he gets taken to court, right before the day before, the charges get dropped, the case gets dropped. Why?
They don't show up to court.
No, but the case just gets dropped.
Let me just say this, okay? Here's the deal. If I don't know for certain Sandy Hook is fake, it's not right. People have due process to say it's fake. So it's not like I said it's real to get him off my back. In fact, the minute I started saying, like 3 years ago, because Halbig and others were so off the deep end, if I would just have...
You think he's off the deep end?
Well, here's what would happen. About 3 years ago or so, it's all in the 3-hour deposition online, I don't want to be mean to these guys. He was a former state police officer. He did run a big national company. There were so many weird things. He almost lost his wife, his house over this. He's for real. He means well. But he was the guy with that professor and others saying it was all staged, and some of the stuff wasn't accurate. So I started hearing the families complain. I was never at the center of it. I was just covering it here and there barely. So as soon as I start seeing the families complain, I have debates between Halbig and journalists that say it happened. Halbig starts saying, you're covering up Sandy Hook now because you're even having a debate. And then I say, screw this. I'm sick of talking about it. The media was starting to attack me, and it wasn't that I don't like being attacked. It's that they were starting like 3 years ago to say, Sandy Hook man, Alex Jones. And I wasn't sure about it, so I was like, no, I'm not the Sandy Hook guy, and I'm not the guy sending people up there to investigate it and harass families, so stop saying it. And as soon as I said I'm not, and I'm sorry if I hurt anybody's feelings, that was blood in the water. And then they go, you're Sandy Hook man. And then Hillary spent $18 million with ads saying he's the Sandy Hook man with edited tapes. And so it was actually me saying, okay, it might have happened. Okay, it was that 3 years ago that oh, he's weak, let's get him. So I'm not saying I think Sandy Hook happened because I want him off my ass. In fact, I'm learning how this stuff works. It was because I was real and thought I can't bet all my chips on Halbig and this other professor because some of the stuff they've said to me that, oh, you're part of it now, you're covering it up. BS, man. They said that the people were going in circles out of the school. It was the fire department. And so it was things like that where I'm sick of Sandy Hook. There's all these real false flags I can prove. The media wants me to die on this hill. I smelled a rat. And so once that happened, I tried to explain things, and they never will. So they think, oh, we've got Jones. He's a sociopath like us, which I'm not. He keeps saying, leave me alone on Sandy Hook. He must be weak on that. And so I basically put myself into this where they only try to obsess over all that. But you asked what happened. They would file suits against Halbig and then drop them, and then no one would show up for the deposition of the court hearing. Now, that was because they never had an official report until a year and a half ago. They put out the official report in January of 2018, finally a report. They never put out the official report. That's never happened.
A report of what? Of what actually happened?
Yeah, 5 years later, they put out a joint report, state, federal, local. And then once they had a report, 'cause remember the FBI before had said, no deaths that year and all that stuff that people jumped on. They said, oh, it's a clerical error. Fine. Once the full report comes out, they sue me 1 month later. And then again, it becomes the First Amendment case of our lifetimes. Clarence Thomas, I usually like right-wingers, he says we're going to get rid of New York Times versus Sullivan. I learned the Republicans are really behind these lawsuits, a bunch of them, with the Democrats. They want to get rid of everybody's free speech. And so they're suing me in one of the 4 Sandy Hook suits in Texas for a woman's name I've never said. And so now if you're just offended at someone's general statements, they're saying you don't have a First Amendment. So this is the end of the First Amendment. And so that's what really happened with Sandy Hook. So they're suing me because we beat Hillary Clinton. Not the families. They've been suckered and pulled into this. They're suing me because the politicians, Senator Murphy and Blumenthal, Blumenthal's son runs the law firm suing me in Connecticut. They run the Texas stuff too. They have made a whole franchise, not the families, but the lawyers and people about their fame off Sandy Hook. And it's weird. They're obsessed with it. They push it. They misrepresent it. They sued the hero teacher that tried to save the kids. These lawyers did. They sued the school. They sued the police. They sued Remington and bankrupted them. And so it's like, if the Sandy Hook wasn't meant to get rid of the Second Amendment, it sure as hell is killing the First. And that's why they always say, Jones, I used to hear you on all these iTunes and on YouTube. I wish I could hear your show. I'm there at Infowars.com and Newswars.com. The streams, the audio, we have record audiences there. Joe Rogan.
On YouTube? Or
No. At Infowars.com,
Okay.
we have our own streams, our own videos, our own systems. We have to do that because Joe Rogan was in studio with me 2 weeks ago. I'm not allowed to put stuff on YouTube. Fans put it up. 2 million views on one site, 1 million on another 500,000 on another. All of those were deleted for community guidelines violations. And I was on there talking about how, just about general things. They don't want me to have a voice. They want to silence my voice so they can build a straw man, and then I can't respond.
Right.
And then I'm sitting there while they make up these lies about me, and so I'm in the arena tied up. Okay, I'm like Eddie Bravo, but no, it's tough. Imagine Eddie's one of the best jiu-jitsu guys out there, but he's tied up in hog ties, chained up in the corner, and then this guy gets in and starts hitting him in the face and choking him out. Basically, I'm tied up. I can't speak on any of these platforms except my own, and then they can tell all these lies now. That's the model. See, censorship doesn't just silence you. It allows them to just say whatever they want about the person they've silenced. And that's why it's so dangerous. That's why I'm out there begging folks to understand this censorship's coming for everybody. And I'm very thankful to be on the Tinfoil Hat comedy show.
Okay, listen, I wanted to ask you, as we wind it down, the last question. Are you happy, man? Are you a happy man? This seems like you're fighting for truth, you're fighting for justice, but are you happy? Like one thing, and I'm gonna tell you, I've been watching you for a long time. I remember you saying a video where you're like, I'm fighting all this stick and I'm miserable. And that always stuck with me. I'm like, I'm never gonna allow this fight we fight to consume me loving the world that we live in.
No, I totally agree.
Are you happy, Alex Jones?
It's a very sophisticated statement. They want to make. I need to work out more. I'm not happy because I've
Not
gotten
even that,
fat.
but just
But
spiritually.
but that's part of it. Is if you're physically not good. My problem is when I'm in the fight, I love it, and I'm not even that good at it most of the time because I do too much of it. But then they're trying to suppress me, and everybody else is like being suffocated. And so if I don't get out of this and I don't beat them, it's not even about me anymore. It's that I'm so incredibly happy now. Sometimes I get a little bit negative, but I'm so happy to actually be at this level of persecution. To me, what I've actually said is that important. And now this great challenge makes my life so fulfilled. But then there's a paradox. 90% of me is really happy. 10% is really pissed because I want to go hang out with my kids more. I want to go hiking. I like actually working out. I used to be in great shape and addicted. And I've so given myself over to this that I'm now gone, basically. I am completely committed. I dream about this. I eat and sleep this. I can't stop. I mean, I'm going to be on Coast to Coast till 2 a.m. tonight. I'm going to get like 2 hours sleep. I'm going to get more shows tomorrow. And I'm not bitching. I love it. I'm actually consumed, though, because like Nietzsche said, if you stare into the abyss too long, you become the abyss. And so, yeah, there's been times where it's depressing to do all this, but the more the pressure was on me now is that actually now I've gone beyond that, and now I love it. And it's this incredible game battling these globalists, these real people, and FBI writing down my plates and threatening people I know, and infiltrators and all this stuff. I know it's real because now I'm seeing the real opposition. And I've got, the billionaire globalist trying to get me to sell out and all these incredible contacts. And then I'm seeing the good in the world, the public awake for every race, color, and creed, and cops pulling over all over LA, shaking my hand saying, black cops, white cops, Hispanic cops, we're awake. We know what's going on. And just to know that we're in this epic struggle of humanity to expend myself like rocket engines on a booster is quite the honor. But again, it's not fun, but I've crossed the point of return in the Rubicon. Passing that point of no return a few years ago when I knew like I was almost going to quit, not because I was giving up, but because I was losing who I was before. Now I've gone past that no return, and I'm basically a whole nother person now, 1,000,000,000% committed to this, and there's no turning back. And that's a great feeling.
All right, Alex Jones, I'm so thankful you
sir.
came on my show.
Thanks for letting me rant. Eddie,
Bravo.
That was
I love
awesome.
you, dude.
That was awesome.
It was a
Love you
great
too, man.
show. I hope we learned something. We had a real conversation, and that's what this show's about.
Hey, I want to come to Austin. I want all you guys on.
All right.
I swear to
Let's do
God,
it.
come on the
Let's do it.
show.
We'll come together.
We'll set it
I'll
up.
fly your asses out there.
All right, let's do
all
it.
the shows. I'll let you talk.
All right,
do
we'll
it.
do it. Alex, I appreciate you coming
sir.
on, dude. Guys, thank you guys very much. This was great, and we all see you next time. Take care, everybody. Thank you. We love you, Brody, and I hope you
Find
enjoyed it.
the Verboten Show at Infowars.com.
Hey, that.